The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. Hosted by Dave Hondel.
Hi everyone, welcome to The Stage Door Show. This is Dave Hondel. Tonight, our guest is a talented actress that played the character of Harper on iCarly revival series and is also seen in the series Lopez versus Lopez. She also played Marisol in The Outlaws with our friend and co-host, Mr. Dan Jablons, along with her work in Florida Girls and so many more projects. She's also the award-winning host of the Scam Goddess podcast. She won Best Overall Host at the iHeart Podcast Awards. So please welcome to the show, the Scam Goddess herself, Miss Laci Mosley. Welcome to the show, Laci.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Dave. I'm so excited to be here.
And of course, we have Dan Jablons out in LA. Dan, thanks for joining us as well.
Well, thanks for letting me once again sort of elbow my way into your show here, Dave. But you know, when I heard Laci was going to be on, I said, okay, that's my old dancing partner. Yes. I got to get involved in that one. So there you go.
Literally dancing partner.
Literally dancing partner.
Well, let's talk about that. You know, Outlaws actually was a great movie, and so talk about your experience on that, because I know, Dan, you played not only Gary. I think you got caught in the vault a bunch of times, but
well, Gary gets caught in the vault, and then he becomes somehow, for no reason that anyone can explain, I became the DJ, and then at the end of the wedding, they kept us all there for a long time to do this like dance thing at the end, and they just decided they were going to do it, and you know, I would not call myself a dancer. Like normally when I dance, they call the paramedics, you know, but I was right next to Laci, and I thought, this is my chance, right? So Laci has moves. Okay, let me just tell you, Laci has moves, and if you follow her on Instagram, you're going to see those. So we got to dance together. We got to dance together, and I haven't been the same since. So there you go.
Oh, I love that. That was a good time. We had some different locations. We had a really good time on that shoot for sure. And it was also wild because they let us do basically whatever we wanted. So when you're on a movie set where it's like Adam Sandler's production and like just a bunch of goofy people who want to have a good time, it's really fun.
Well, it was a great movie. It was funny, and I loved it. And you know, speaking of, you know, a good time. I mean, I had a great time listening to your podcast. You know, Laci, because. And I wrote down some scams I think are out there as well. Okay, I'm excited. Because I know I saw you on Conan as well, and Conan was talking about this. But I certainly think, and now this you can see if you agree or not, but grocery store reward programs I think are scams, because you pay like twice the amount for an item if you don't have their card. So if you don't have their reward card and you have to go online, there's a whole bunch of hoops you got to go through with some grocery stores. And I think it's a scam because they make more money off if you don't have the reward cards. What are your thoughts on that?
So it's a two-folded scam with the grocery store reward card, because back in the day, like, well, one, I don't fill out surveys. I'm so sorry. Like I will, like every now and then I'll do a customer service, like survey if someone was really great in customer service just for their own job. But if you ask me to fill out a survey, no, babe, that's work. Like if you need market research, you better pay me, like send me a gift card, something. So grocery stores invented the rewards program, one, so they could scam people who decide not to, basically punish you if you decide not to give them your personal information and shopping habits. And two, all they're doing is monitoring what we're purchasing, you know, what they can like price fix higher or whatever. And that's the whole purpose of you having that rewards number, is they're like, gotcha. Okay, so you like Cheetos 3 times a week. Got it. Let's mark the Cheetos up 8 cents. You know, it's like, it's a scam. But if you don't participate, yeah, if you don't participate in the scam, then they punish you by not giving you a discount. So it is completely BS. But I do sign up for them because I'm like, whatever, you're going to get my info anyway. Mark Zuckerberg has like my whole, like, retina, booty hole at this point. Yeah, he has everything. So I might as well give it to everybody else. Who cares?
How did Scam Goddess get started? Like, how did that actually begin?
It kind of began like an accident. I was working actually at iHeart at the time. I would, well, I wouldn't say I was they did pay me, so I guess I technically worked there. But I would co-host and like guest co-host this show called The Daily Zeitgeist if like Matt or if Miles or Jack O'Brien, why is this happening to me? We're like out, I would kind of pop in, or I'd be a guest a lot. And one of the questions when you're a guest is always like, what's in your search history? And every time I went on the show and they asked me that, it was always some scam that I was looking into, and just for fun. And it became a running bit, and Miles started calling me the Scam Goddess. And then I wanted to do a comedy podcast. So I had pitched around just like a current events comedy podcast at a bunch of different studios, and kind of was getting the door slammed a little bit, because at this time, like, everybody got a microphone. It's not as bad as it is now. Like, we need to get the microphones out of Best Buy. Like at this point, it's like crack in the community. It's got to go. But at the time, they already had so many podcasts like that. So I kind of scammed my way into Earwolf and Sirius by being like, well, you know what? This is different. It's true crime. And that's when true crime was really exploding. But I was like, but it's about scams. And also it's funny. So I got to do my comedy podcast by scamming them into making them think it was a true crime show.
Did you find that during COVID, that scams were actually being invented during COVID because of the COVID money that was coming in? I mean, did you find that there was more material for you during that time?
Honestly, scams are always being invented, reinvented, modified for the times and the technology. COVID scams were really fun to me because that's the thing about being a scammer is like you're always looking for an opportunity to do crime. You know what I mean? So if the door is closed on crime, scammers looking through the window, like, is that crack? Like, let me get inside. Yeah. So during COVID, you had those good PPP scams where everyone was pretending that they had a farm that they didn't have and employees that they never met and collecting government checks. I don't know how far they thought that one was going to go because the government did come back. Unless you were a Richie Richardson, you did not get your loan forgiven and you did go to prison. And there's so many examples of like rappers and people buying cars and
record companies, 3-4 record companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now they're paying the price to Uncle Sam in prison. But one of my favorite COVID scams was, when testing wasn't readily available everywhere. And before we started getting those Joe Bidens in the mail, little Joe Biden COVID test, I call them the Joe Bidens. But before you could pop a Biden, you had to go to a location to get tested. And so a lot of scammers started popping up with just a circus tent, a table you can get at Walmart, little tablecloth, get some scrubs at the little medical supply store, and pretending that they were running COVID tests. And they were charging people up to $200 per test. Wow. Mind you, they had no medical equipment. Like they were just basically sticking lips. Yeah, Q-tips, lip gloss applicators. I'm like, why does that say Fenty on the bottom? And they're sticking it up your nose like, okay, well, 2 to 5 days, 7 to 8 business months. We'll let you know if you have COVID.
We'll be 10 states away by then, yeah.
Right. And that's what they did. They would pick up and move because it was a tent. It was like a little COVID circus. You just pop up, steal, move.
I shouldn't count on my Clinique COVID test then. I thought I got a designer one. No, that's not how that works.
Nope, the Maybelline one is like maybe you're born with it.
That's because I'm worth it. Let me ask you. So in the Scam Goddess thing right now, are you flooded with people just going like I got scammed, and then you have to sift through that to figure out who's going to make it onto the show? Like, how do you decide who's going to be in your show?
We do ask our listeners to. I always say we. I feel like I'm trying to absolve myself of culpability. The we, it is me, but the we of the show, sue them.
The team.
I joke about that a lot. I call it my right, exactly, Dave. I call it my abogado fund. I'm like, which is lawyer in Spanish. I'm like, help me raise money for my abogado fund because I live in LA and there's so many billboards like abogado, ahora, and I'm like, I'm gonna need one of those. So
los accidentes, right?
Exactly, accidentes. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to call Christina, but I get really lucky. The fans love to write in. Honestly, sometimes I'm telling them like, y'all wait till the scam is over to write in. They'll be like, I'm in my closet and I'm pretty sure this man is robbing me. And I'm like, can you get out of the danger before you email me? Wow. But do tell me. So I kind of try to pick them these days a little bit more thematically to what I'm talking about in the episode as I try to be more professional. But honestly, that's been one of the greatest blessings of the show is that people constantly write me about scams, old, new scams they ran, scams that happened to them, their parents, and then we get to share them on the show and warn other people. So it's great.
Getting this award, that must have been thrilling for you to receive that award. I mean, that's a really big honor.
Thank you. It was. It was at South by Southwest, and I was there because the short film that I was in was screening. It also did really well, so that was exciting. And I don't know if this is like an industry secret, but closer to before it was supposed to happen, I got an email from someone, and they were like, "Hey, just so you know, you won, and there will be a speech, and like da da da." And so then I
surprised.
Yeah. And at first I was thinking podcasts were such nerds. Like it's such a nerdy event. And then I hit my publicist and they told me I won. And then they looked at the lineup. They're like, actually, go ahead and get hair and makeup. Like, we'll find you some hair and makeup people in Austin. I was like, okay.
There you go.
So it was a huge honor. And I got to accept it in front of my peers. Like I've won an iHeart award before, but it was for Best True Crime.
Oh,
and
cool.
It was during the pandemic. So I was sitting in front of my computer as Shonda Rhimes virtually presented me this award. And I gave a pre-recorded speech. So it was much different getting to be in the venue with other, you know what I mean? I was sitting next to Shannon Sharp and laughing about Club Shay Shay. So it was much cooler to be around like my podcast peers. And it was a really fun night.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it sounds like a fun night. And also being a comedian as well, I wanted to touch on this a little bit too, because I have so much respect for people like you that are comedians that can get up in front of people and tell jokes. And I mean, have you ever? I mean, when you get up there, what's the feeling like? Are you comfortable up in front of people like that, or because you don't know the room? I guess sometimes the room could be, it could be, they could be dead, they could be alive. I mean, so how do you feel when you get up there? Do you tell jokes to kind of feel the temperature in the room at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a part of the whole thing. Like why I love doing podcasts is for me, it's like a cure for loneliness. I listen to my favorite podcasts when I'm like doing chores I don't want to do. And I kind of feel like I'm not by myself. And other people have reached out and told me that, and I've done live shows and gotten to meet fans. And it's been really sweet to like engage with people like that. And comedy, what I love about it so much is like when people laugh, it's all of us kind of agreeing to the truth, because that's why they always say there's always something a little true in a joke, because that's why we find it humorous. Either we connect to it and it's our reality and our truth, or we both find it funny. So it's like connection for me. And yes, there have definitely been audiences where I do stand up, and like I was doing stand up on Monday. And the crowd was a little testing when I get to this joke about missing Black women and how if I go missing, like, don't tell them I'm Black because they don't look for us. And and then I kind of go into this whole bit about how you can describe me without telling people I'm Black. A smile that lights up a room. She got a way about her. Like, don't tell people I'm Black. And like the crowd kind of gets a little tense because they were like, we don't know if we can laugh. And so in those moments, right. Yeah. In those moments, I kind of tap into some improv, and I'm like, no. Listen. I want them to look for everybody. When white women go missing, I'm always looking for them. And I kind of go into another little bit. So sometimes I have to add to something to make people feel comfortable. But the one thing I hate that has become so toxic in comedy is, one, people talking meta on stage. Don't get on stage and complain. Don't talk about cancel culture. First of all, it's not affecting you. Like, you have not been canceled. No one's silencing you. You have a microphone literally in your hand. And I hate when a joke doesn't go over and a comedian like tries to attack the crowd. Like, oh, you guys are so stiff. And maybe the joke just didn't work. You could just be like, oh, y'all didn't like that anyways. And, move on in a way that's not like punishing the audience. So,
well, it's hard. Stand-up comedians are not the happiest group of people you'll meet, right? Like when you're backstage, when you're backstage with those guys, it's not exactly like, hey, we're still goofing around even though we're back here. It's a pretty dark crowd for sure. Mm-hmm. How did you get started in stand up? What made you decide to do stand up? I mean, look, you were hilarious in the movie that we were in, and we laughed a lot while we were not, even when the cameras weren't rolling, and it was fun. But how did you get started in stand up? What made you decide to do it?
So I actually started stand-up when I was living in New York City. I had met an actor through a friend. He was a church friend of another friend. His name is Jacinto Riddick, and he's been in tons of television shows. If you saw his face, you would always recognize it. But he sat me down and kind of told me the few ways that you can get into the acting business. And before that, nobody had really, there's no blueprint for this. There is no explanation. That's why it's such a scammy business, because people can take advantage of your desperation to, your want for success and not having a clear avenue. Like if you want to be a doctor, you're going to go to your 4-year institution. You're going to go to medical school. You're going to pass your exams, and then you're going to go to residency, and then you're going to, become a doctor. Like there is a path. Whether you can do it, that's your own aptitude, but there's a path. In acting, it could literally be like they found you at the water fountain, or you were an extra in something and somebody was like, woo, but those are very rare. So he was like, 5 things he told me that I could start with in New York. He was like, either you could go back to school, go to a Rutgers, go to a Juilliard, go to like an advanced program where when you finish, they will have a showcase where all the agents and talent reps and stuff will be there to, pluck you out of obscurity or whatever. Or you could go and do improv, which I ended up doing a lot of improv at UCB. I still do. Like improv theaters are a big place to meet other writers and other actors and get work that way. You can go through repertory theaters. So that's like getting your Actors Equity card and performing in theaters and live theater in Chicago or New York, or there's some in LA, but really like New York and Chicago. Right. And you can get picked up that way. Or you can do stand-up if you're into comedy. And then it's like you're up at the Cellar, or you're up at, you have to test for the Cellar. But like, let's say you get to that level. But, there's Eastville, there's Gotham, there's so many random stand-up nights, in the Village and stuff. You start and you cut your teeth there. So he told me that, and I left with that information, and I was like, okay, bet, that's what I'm gonna do. So I tried it all in New York. I remember I once was an extra on Law and Order SVU. First of all, every famous actor, if you rewatch Law and Order SVU, they've all been on there. Constance Wu, Billy Porter. Like after for a little while, it was like where actors would go when they had free time to try to get nominated for a Best Guest Star Emmy. So they had why is this happening to me? Robin Williams, like everyone you can ever think of. Patricia Arquette, everyone has been on that show.
Yeah. You know, how about being hecklers? How do you handle hecklers out there? Because that's one thing. I had Josh Blue on the show one time, and he loves being heckled because he loves to come back to him. So how do you handle a heckler?
I will say that I've been pretty fortunate. I know I did not answer that question the last one, so I'm going to answer that so that your fans don't go crazy. But I started in stand-up in New York. It was kind of dark and scary and very man harassy for me. And I loved doing it, but I was like wearing a turtleneck, and I just felt like, I don't know, it kind of bummed me out to just be in dark bars with a lot of morose people all the time. Yeah. So I moved into improv, and that felt like church camp. So I stayed with improv, and that's how I got all my reps and started acting professionally. But to your heckler's question, I personally haven't been heckled that much.
Good. That's good.
I don't know if I'm just really lucky.
Who would heckle you? Who would heckle you?
But drunk people do, like, especially after the Matt Rifes of the world, where like your whole set is becoming crowd work. Like, people now come to the stand-up shows with the expectation of what they've seen on TikTok of like, I'm in the show too. So I was just at my friend's show on Sunday. Her name's JoJo Gibbs. And she was doing a set, and there were two different audience members. One who was just trying to go on a date with her the whole time and really like selling themselves, like monologues. Like, I know you should meet me and my family. We real cool. We could have kids together. We're like, man, please somebody sit her down. And then there was another person in the crowd who was requesting jokes. She was like, where are your jokes about white women? And then she would lift up some of her blonde hair and be like, talk about me. And it was like, what is happening? But in those moments, it's always best to, like, if I have people talk out, I haven't had anybody say negative things, but if they do speak during my set, I will acknowledge them, and I'll usually make a joke off them, and then we'll keep going with it. Because if you ignore them or you try to get rude, then it derails everything.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So did you start in stand-up and then get into acting, Laci? Is that sort of your trajectory, or were you acting first, or how did that happen?
I was always an actor, and I have a performance degree. I went to school in Pittsburgh, so I was doing a lot of regional theater there, like the August Wilson Theater, and I would take classes at Carnegie Mellon, and then I went to school full-time at Pitt. But I wanted to like do professional acting, so you know, you don't have representation when you start out in the game. So it was like more so looking for places to showcase my skills where I could either invite reps to it, or there were already people scouting in the crowd, which happens a lot at live performances. So I was looking for a live venue where people could see me, and I could potentially, you know, get a representative and then get work, like a manager or an agent or whatever. I had a commercial agent in New York, and I remember that was so weird. I never went on any auditions with them. It was some shady place. And I remember one time they asked me to take a picture of my hands for, I guess, like hand modeling. And I took a picture and I sent it to them. And they said, never mind, your knuckles too big. Like, you can't do it.
Your knuckles too big.
Too big.
Trying to give me a new insecurity. I wasn't even looking at my hands thinking they could walk the runway. And now I'm looking at my knuckles every day like, why?
Wearing gloves.
Yeah, I only wear gloves. I only wear gloves now. But yeah, you get a lot of weird shit like that, like weird insecurities when you become an actor. But no, yeah, I just wanted to be seen. And New York was a little too angsty for me. So I was there for 2 years, and then I moved to LA because I was like, I need sunshine. I don't want to be next to this many people all the time. Like, I need a car. I want to live in LA. Yeah.
So you were in Pittsburgh first, and then you went to New York for 2 years before you came to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So now, you know, I grew up in New York, and so this is true for me. It's probably true for you too. Are you freezing now if it's 60 degrees? Are you like ready to die?
Yes, my body has completely changed. And now LA gets all seasons. Like, what we had snow on the palm trees in Burbank.
Yeah, what was
the
that
earthquakes are out of control. We've had more rain than Seattle this year.
Don't you think we should get a tax break for that? Don't you think we deserve a tax break for all that? I think we should get something back.
I mean, we have the highest GDP in the U.S. We deserve a tax break, period. I'm tired of floating this bitch. Yeah. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same.
They hate our liberal agenda so much, but they love our liberal money. I'm like, give me my money back then.
That's right. That's right. Oh, now we should make t-shirts. We should make t-shirts.
Taxes are high here. Okay. Yeah, people hear what we make and they're like, oh yeah, you should be living rich. I'm like, no, $80,000 in LA ain't gonna make you. You ain't get a house.
They all think. they all think we're sitting around the pool drinking, like, they all think we're Brad Pitt with big drinks around the pool,
glamorous,
glamorous and doing stuff. They don't know this. They don't know the struggle. They don't know the struggle.
No clue.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've been a series regular on 4 TV shows. I still have a 2-bedroom apartment. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice place, but I don't have a house yet. I remember when I booked iCarly and then found out how much I was getting paid and then I got a raise and they're like, oh, what are you going to do with the money? And I was like, oh, I might start looking at houses. And the call fell silent. All my reps were like, and I'm like, I know y'all live in houses while y'all taking my 10%. And but they're like, and you want to live in LA proper? I'm like, oh, right. That's going to be like 1.2 mil for a shack. Right. Well, I don't want to live in Pasadena, so I'm just going to wait. But I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. But, people they think it's something that it's not. But yeah, I lived in New York and it was too cold and I was tired of fighting people. You fight people on the train, you fight people at the auditions, you fight people everywhere. Yeah. It's too much fighting.
This for my listeners, listen up to that because, I think people when they're getting out of high school or in college and they have like stars in their eyes and they think that it's the glamour life. And I've interviewed a lot of actors and I'm telling you, it's not like that. It's a hard work, number one. Number two, you have to be in the game for a long, long time and be, have steady work all the time to make a good living at it. In fact, a lot of people have, survival jobs, jobs that, on the side. And so I just want my listeners to understand that it takes a lot of hard work and it's not what you think it is. So well said, Laci.
And great. Well said to you too. And I think it's awesome that you're pulling back the curtain because another part of our job is to not make it look hard. So my Instagram is going to make everything look like easy breezy, beautiful, but then you don't see the late nights. You don't see, like, they lied to all of us. I'm a younger millennial, but they lied to all of us talking about make your own hours, be your own boss. That means that I work 24 hours of every day, that I could be working at any time.
You don't sleep, right?
So if you got a 9 to 5, appreciate that 5 o'clock when you just leave and forget about everything at the office.
That's right.
I have to say, you have an outstanding Instagram. I think you could teach a course on Instagram if you could find the hours. But I mean, like, you are always, like, the thing I like about your Instagram is that you seem to be having a great time all the time. I'm just like,
that's a problem. That's what's toxic about Instagram. But it's so funny because there are certain people on Instagram who they do document their like lower moments or, like it's kind of that parasocial, like telling all their business. I love to watch it, could never participate in it myself, but I do think it's hilarious. But me picking up my front facing camera when I'm crying and hitting play or like record, that's crazy to me. Like, why are you crying to your camera? This is weird, but keep doing it because I like to watch it.
But you know what? It looks to me like to me, it looks to me like you are out every night. You are having fun with all different people and stuff like that. You are just having a great time all the time. And I'm just like, I want to hang out with her more. That would be funny looking though, right? If you'd have me there, I'd be like, what's that guy doing there? But there you go.
And they met on the Outlaws. Yes.
That's what I'd be yelling in every club. That's why she knows me. I'd be yelling that. People be like, "No, that's why." Be like, "Would you bring your accountant? Like, what's going on here?" Like,
there's so many people in the club who look like you. This is LA. The girlies left. Now, I personally don't be going to the clubs like that, but when I did, there's a lot of Dans in there. I might have run into you.
It could be.
Your cousin.
It could be.
Well, Laci, what was your favorite, I guess, moment so far in your acting life? I mean, what show or what, something that maybe happened back, behind the scenes. What was your favorite moment so far?
Favorite moment? Oh man, that's kind of tough because there's been so many fun times. I mean, I will say a shocking, or not shocking, but this happened on The Outlaws when we were shooting. There was a last scene where Dan became the DJ that I was shooting iCarly at that time and Lopez actually. And we were trying to figure out if I could come back to Atlanta to be a part of the wedding scene where Dan was the DJ. And they were really trying to work it out with my studio and everything. And finally, we kind of like, I shot out early on iCarly on a Thursday. And then I flew it to Atlanta and I got there. It was on a red eye. So I got there like 5 a.m. and had to go straight to set. So when I got straight to set, I went into my trailer, and I'm about to go to hair and makeup, and I pick up my sides, which are just like your lines in the script. And I open my sides up and I'm reading and I'm reading and I'm reading, and I have no lines. Now, mind you, they had been negotiating this with my studio. I begged my showrunner, like, please just let me go finish. Like, it's so fun. I really want to go back. I got to see Dan again in his, my God, that suit you were in, Lord Jesus. So it's like, and so I texted Alan Colbert, who was one of the EPs on that movie, and I was like, "Hey, Alan, is there a mistake? Because I just got my sides. I have no lines." And he was like, "No, that was by design. Like, we just want you to go off, like, just have a good time." And I was like, "Okay." So we do the scenes, and like, there's a little bit that they shoot of me with like improv or whatever, and it's all improv. I'm just flying off the cuff, and they're just shooting it. Okay, we got that. We're dancing. That's the end. And then months later, when the movie was like cut and everything, Alan reached out and he was like, "Hey, have you watched the movie?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." So he gives me like a passcode to go into Netflix so I can like screen it. This is like before the premiere and everything. I watched the movie. I'm like racing home to like go look at it. And the very last line in the movie is me. And it's improv, and it's when I flew down there to Atlanta and I screamed. It was a really cool moment as an actor. So I was like,
that is
like
cool,
in my living room, moment. Just screaming. So yeah.
Well, the funny thing about that last thing was like, so I did my goofy DJ thing, and I thought like I'm done, right? Plus, here's what you don't know, right? It's freezing when we're doing this thing.
Cold.
Oh, really?
So all of us are sitting there in these like big coats with the space heaters and stuff like that. And by the way, I'm sitting next to Richard Kind. Okay, at that moment in time, and Richard Kind, Richard Kind is like the mayor. He's just talking to everybody. He's telling Julie Haggerty, "You should do this thing," like he's just sort of like on it, right? Meantime, he's texting with like other like big name celebrities. I'm like, I want to be in that text so bad, right? So the director Tyrell, he turns to me and he goes, "Oh, you're not done." And I'm like, okay, script wise, I'm done. Like whatever, like what's gonna happen here? And so we sat there for a long time just to do this like final dance party deal that actually didn't make it in the movie. But
right, the dance party got cut, but we were freezing, and every time it was time to go, all the wardrobe people come, take your coats, and then you're just shivering, waiting.
Yeah,
for
you're standing out there freezing to death.
You're just hanging out with Pierce Brosnan, freezing your nips off, and
yeah, exactly.
Everything is fine. No,
wasn't he cool though? Wasn't he the greatest? Pierce was
so
like the
cool
most
and
amazing,
so tall, and very virile. Did his stunts like was moving around.
That's like there's a movie star right there.
Yeah.
Like when he's there, you just go like you can feel it coming off of him.
Wow,
he was
cool.
kind of
there's an energy when he walks in the room, and it's like, oh, okay, I always got it on screen, but then when you're in person, you're like, okay, I get it, and my neck is craned up to the sky because I'm 5'1".
Yeah, I know he was really actually when I came out of the vault one time, and the director said to me, "All right, you're gonna walk out between Adam and Pierce," and I went, "All right, which one's Pierce?" Let's be done, So that's I'd mess with him. And you worked a lot with Lil Rel Howell on the.
Yeah, he became the homie after that. So working with Rel was really fun. We had a lot of great improv bits. Oh, I'll say another fun bit that this is not from the Outlaws, but another fun actor moment is like I had to do the Kid and Play dance in a TV show, and they actually had Kid and Play on the show. So Kid and Play taught me the Kid and Play.
Nice.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know it. I don't remember House Party. I'm like, I think I saw it when I was older, but I was like, I didn't remember. And they were like, we will teach you. So I have a video of Kid and Play teaching me the Kid and Play.
Well, I grew up during that era, so I know, and I know you did too, Dan. So
who is the biggest celebrity you've met? Like the biggest celebrity you've sort of got a chance to play with or fool around with, that kind of thing?
Oh, I mean, I don't know what I would call biggest. I don't know. A Black Lady sketch show, we had a lot of like really big guest stars. I had a whole whole sketch where it's just me and Jesse Williams the entire night, like shooting this sketch where I had to grind on him and stuff. I was so nervous because he's very kind. He's like so great to talk to. We had a lot of great conversations, but it was like I don't know. It was like I felt like I was in Grey's Anatomy. I was like, I'm doing comedy. Stop looking me in my eyes like this. Like it was.
Yeah.
We were shooting in Malibu, and at one point, like they were doing a setup, and setups took so long, and so I was out on the balcony, and you can see all the stars because there's no light pollution. So I'm just like looking up at the constellations. He walks out. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just looking at the stars." And he starts pointing out constellations to me. Mind you, I did take astronomy in college as a bird course, so I know what they are. But I was like, "Ooh, and what's
Orion,
that spoony thing?" Yeah. Oh, okay, that's Orion's Gucci belt. Okay, like I was
Gucci belt.
Orion's Gucci belt.
I was like, and where's that star? You know, the one they say that goes up somewhere.
That's so funny.
So Laci, you've done a tremendous amount of work. What would you say, like going forward now, right? What's the ultimate that you would want to do? Like what kind of project do you want to do, or what's your dream project? What would you want to be doing next?
Oh, see, I used to always joke and say like superhero, or villain actually, because they have the best costumes. But
yeah, they do.
I mean, like, I really want to do a heist movie. I'm working on one, and like writing, and then I am actually about to produce my own show. I can't talk too much about it. That's the production meeting I just left. But I'm really excited to be able to announce that. But yeah, I just want to do more like fun, big, hard comedy movies. Like that's my favorite thing to do. So, and I want to bring hard comedy movies back. Like I think Talladega Nights deserved an Oscar. I don't think they put enough respect on comedians' names because when you talk about watchability, like yeah, I love to see an important, powerful movie, but like, how many times are you gonna hear a friend be like, "Hey, you want to come over? We got some drinks, and we're gonna pop some popcorn and watch 12 Years a Slave." Like, no, you watch that movie one time, you appreciate it, but how many times can you watch comedies over and over and over again because they're comforting and they're funny, and you kind of forget jokes after a while. But I'm not watching, something super. I'm not watching Schindler's List for funsies. So
Yeah.
Well, and Talladega Nights is so much improv in that, right? Like that whole thing about like my favorite part of that one too is like when they're doing that whole thing around the table, they're going to say grace, and they're all talking about which Jesus they liked in the whole thing.
Yeah, sweet so baby, infant in a manger, Jesus.
Yeah,
my favorite bit movie. Is when Ricky Bobby was saying that he couldn't walk and he jams the knife. Will Ferrell jams a knife into his leg, and then oh my gosh, what is his name? He passed away, but he's the bigger black guy. Wasn't he in the Green Mile? Oh gosh.
Oh, Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan, yeah. Michael Clark Duncan comes over and he's like, "We got to get the knife out. I'll use this knife to pry out the other knife." This is so dumb. Movie.
I don't know how they got through filming that without busting out laughing every take.
Help me, Oprah. Help me, Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
and also with Sacha Baron Cohen in there. I mean, there's a guy who can improvise like no other, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So. And I'm getting back to my audition question. Talk about your most craziest audition, or have you had one?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I think probably the craziest audition I had was for Better Call Saul. It was this doesn't typically happen, but it kind of felt very LA. I was at brunch and I was tipsy and I Ubered because you don't drive even if you think you're going to drink, in LA. But I was tipsy. I was at brunch with my friends having fun. And I guess we were at some kind of Friday brunch. Maybe it was a happy hour. I don't know what it was, but it was like during the day on a Friday. And I got a call from my reps and they were like, "Hey, like typically we wouldn't send you in for a co-star, but this I think is going to turn into a guest star and it's for a good show." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, bet I'm down." And they were like, "Okay, you got to get over to Burbank now." And I was like, "What do you mean now?" And they were like, "Yeah, they just added this. You got to get over there right now because it's going to shoot next week." So I had to take my tipsy ass over to Burbank to audition to play Honeydew the hooker on Better Call Saul. And I get there, I'm like, "Oh God, let me drink some water." I'm not like wasted or anything, but I was like, I would obviously not have drank anything at all if I knew I was gonna have an audition. But this is last minute. But I'm like, I'm not gonna pass it up. So I go and I get in the room and there's just like a few lines. I'm pretty quick to memorize, so I'm just like looking at the sides. All right, I got it. So I go in and they have me do these like 3 or 4 lines, like maybe 16 different times. Wow. And it's in different ways. They were like, "Okay, now you're a really sad, destitute hooker." And I'm like, "You know who I am, Howie." Or like, "You know who I am, Howie. You know who I am, Howie." Like literally, I thought I was in a bit. I thought the cameras were going to come out and I was getting punked because I was like, "There's no way." At one point, I'm like pretending to turn around. I'm like, "You remember this?" Like pretending to like pull down my pants. It was crazy. And they're like, "Yeah, now improv some lines." And I was like, "Okay." It lasted for like half an hour. And I was like, "There's no way I got this job. What are they doing in here?" I don't know. But it turns out I did get the job. And so I had to fly to Arizona. Is it Arizona? Where are the Sandia Mountains? New Mexico? New Mexico. I think it's New Mexico.
I think it's New Mexico, man.
Yeah, it's New Mexico because that's where they shot.
Yeah,
Albuquerque. Yeah, that's where they shot Breaking Bad too. So I had to fly there a couple of times, which worst flight ever because you have to fly over those mountains. So there's so much turbulence.
Oh yeah, no, I've done that one.
And I was like, "Oh God, I'm gonna fall out of the sky." But it was so much fun. Bob Odenkirk he really cared about that show so much, so everything mattered. And so like when he was bailing us out, I remember we did the first take, and first of all, I did not know Bob Odenkirk was wearing a man wig on that show. And even when I got really close, I could not tell that it was a man wig. Like until like he came into the trailer later and just like whipped it off. I was like, "See y'all later." And I was like, "That was a good
like
wig."
Taking off a hat. Yeah.
Like he just like throws it over like a frisbee to the hair person. "There you go."
That's funny.
But like when we walked out the first time we did the first part of a scene, he was like, okay, that was great. This time I want you guys to remember, I bail you hookers out of jail every week. This is nothing for y'all. So when you say thank you, you don't even have to really mean it. And we're like, okay, yeah, we got you. And so we did another take, and he was like, that was great. And that, so that audition was crazy, but it was great to work with Bob, and he like gave us great notes, and we had a good time.
That sounds fun. And what kind of advice do you have for our new and upcoming actors out there? Just some advice that, from all your experience and all the years of your experience. I mean, what kind of advice can you give our listeners?
One, I would say don't spend a lot of money on headshots. Everything is digital now. Get a friend who has a good camera. Hell, sometimes you can get a good iPhone on portrait mode, a solid background, a nice solid shirt, and maybe a couple different looks with different clothes, and like call it a day. There's no reason to let headshot people grift you out of thousands of dollars for a photo that they're going to click on online. Nobody's mailing headshots anymore.
Plus, when was the last time you actually handed someone a headshot?
Oh, never. And now that I think about it, it's terrifying because I used to mail them out, and on the back it would have my email, my name, my cell phone number. I was honestly just walking around with a little card to be like, abduct me. Would you like to abduct me?
Exactly. Like, yeah, right.
Here's my home address and the hours I'll be available. Like,
plus now, like how do they do it, right? They're in front of a gigantic Mac computer with a bunch of little thumbnail pictures of all the people.
Yep.
And you're hoping they might pick you out at that point in time, So I made sure I had big contrasting backgrounds. Was the only thing I did, that was just so that I would pop out on that screen. That was about it,
That's a good idea, Dan.
So it's nice to have some nice moody gray marbleized background, but they ain't going to see you if you do that. So
exactly.
Very smart.
All right, keep going, Laci. I'm taking notes.
I love
now.
it. These are good notes, Dan. You got a nice bright yellow wall back there. I know you be working that.
That's right.
So I see it. You see, I got pink walls. Okay, I like to get pink, or I have a periwinkle blue if I'm more serious in the other room. I was like, I'm just gonna make those my self-tape walls.
There you go.
But second, I would say find community. It is a very lonely job, and also it's a very unserious profession to pursue. And I liken it to becoming a rapper a lot. Because like if you are a famous rapper, like of course everybody wants to be around you, everyone wants to listen to your music. But when you are an aspiring rapper, there's truly nothing more embarrassing other than being an actor. Because you would be like, listen to my mixtape. Nobody wants to listen to your mixtape, Craig. But it's like Craig probably had bars on the mixtape, and now that Craig's famous, everybody wants to buy his tape. You know what I mean? So it's like having a community and other friends who are like going through the same struggles as you, or who can share information or do self-tapes with you or advise you on good acting classes is really important. So if you're not a comedian, like if you are a comedian, it's the stand-up comedians, they're not all toxic. Or get into improv, which you can find a big nerdy community there. It's very much like a cult, but pretty good one. Or acting classes. Maybe you meet people in your acting classes and y'all hang out, y'all run lines, y'all do self-tapes together. It's just important to have support, because if you're going at this alone, it's very difficult. And also, like, you never know, like I've had so many writer friends of mine write me roles in television shows. Like I didn't have reps when I got Florida Girls. Laura Chin was my first improv teacher in LA, and she wrote Jayla for me. She didn't tell me until after I booked it, but like knowing writers, like when I was on Single Parents, I had a recurring role on that show for both seasons that it was on air. My friend Lamar Woods, who used to write for The New Girl, he was like, I have this role, Sharon, that I think you'd be perfect for. I went and auditioned for it. I got it. It was supposed to be a one-time guest star. They liked me so much that by the end, I ended up having a baby in a gas station with the entire cast. Like, so, you never know. It's like about community, relationships, not just for what you can get, but also just to have people who understand what you're going through. And then I would say, perform as much as possible. Like that helps with nerves and jitters. Like I noticed that I started to book more things like when I was on a job, because I wasn't worried about getting another job. Like people can sense desperation, and the less you want to be there, the more they want you. I remember the last commercial audition I did, because I stopped doing those, but I got the job, and I had been going on commercial auditions for years before I started booking real acting work, or not real acting work. I don't want to be shady, but before I started booking like acting work in television or film. And I remember, like I took a commercial acting class. Like I was like, oh, bring gum so you can start conversations in the waiting room. Like, you want some gum? Or like if you're testing with a partner, like ask them if it's okay if the scene provides. Like, is it okay if I touch the top of your shoulder? Like put my hand on the top of your shoulder, like to create more familiarity in the room. Like, it makes you look more like a family or whatever the case may be. Right? There's little tips and tricks that I learned. And I remember I was trying so hard. And the second that I knew I didn't want to do commercial auditions anymore, I went to one and I parked at a 15-minute meter. And I walked into the casting office. And I was like, hey, I only got a 15-minute meter. So if they can't see me in that time, don't even worry about it. I'm going to just go. And they were like, she hates it here. Give her the job.
Give her, you're hired. When can you start?
Yeah. So the more you perform, the more relaxed you are, the less you're thinking about the stakes, the less you're thinking about what you could do with the money or the show, or you're just having treat every audition like an opportunity to perform, like an opportunity where you're just showcasing something. And then the last thing I'll say is be yourself. And I know that sounds so corny, but I'm going to put it in a context that hopefully makes it a little more clear. There's so many scammy ass classes that you can take. Some are good, some are bad, but I took one in New York that was, I would have known it was a scam if I was older, but it was a commercial acting audition class where you brought in a monologue or something from a commercial and you performed it in front of a casting director that you paid.
That's what I was gonna say. You had to pay, right?
Yeah. And also there's no casting opportunity here. They're just gonna give you notes after you perform. And I'll never forget that I went in and I did my little monologue in front of everybody or whatever. And then afterwards she was giving individual notes. And she came to me and she was like, well, I feel like your read was really sassy. And sassy is a word that makes my skin crawl because as a Black woman, it's a pejorative. Don't call me sassy.
Sure.
I don't even care if you mean it in a nice way. Don't do that. Because sometimes I'll be like, sass it up a little bit. I'm like, no, please get out of my face. But so she was like, that whole sassy Black girl thing is out. We're looking for more authentic stuff. So you don't have to do that anymore. And it actually changed the way I performed for so long. I would read a role and I would try to bring whatever I thought they wanted to it. And the matter of the fact is that at the end of the day, you're in your body and you're who you are. So you're going to be selling you for every role. And sometimes that role is not going to be right for you. And you shouldn't take that personally because it has nothing to do with you. You were born who you are. So I just slang me. And sometimes I'll get an audition. I'm like, this is not right for me. I'm not going to get it. But if I feel like it's a good opportunity for me to show my skills, I'm like, this is not even what they want, but I'm gonna give them what I want to give them. And then maybe they'll think of me for something else, which has happened. Or maybe they don't see the role the same way anymore. That happens sometimes too. And then, you've added something to it. So just don't stray away from your strengths. Be yourself. Everybody can't be Meryl Streep. Some of us are slanging personality, and that's fine too. Know?
Yeah. I mean, and look at it as practice, if nothing else. And and I think, like you said, be yourself and just get used to hearing no a lot. I mean, that's the one thing I think new actors sometimes, want things here and now, and it doesn't always happen, and then they get frustrated. And then when they're about to break out or when they're about to get that yes, they quit. And then they don't hear the yes because they get frustrated and they don't know how close they really were. And so just stick with it, right?
I feel like sometimes we think of it as a no, but it's like somebody else got a great opportunity. That doesn't mean we don't want you.
Right.
That means that somebody else was a better fit. I think sometimes we look at acting like it's like a sport where we're racing for something.
Competition.
When that's not it at all. You know what I mean? It's more like it's like we all have a different set of skills that is necessary at a different time. I could not have played Dan's character, even if it was a woman. You know what I mean?
No, I think you could have. I think you could have. You just want the suit. You want the suit.
I do want the suit. I do want the suit. But you had us cracking up, and it's like you have this wiry performance in that movie that I'm not wiry. I could be a lot of things, but that's not my expertise. So it's just think of it more like fitting pieces in a puzzle. So if you get a no in quotes, it's not that you don't fit in the puzzle, you just didn't fit in that part of the puzzle. You know what I mean? But there will be space for you.
I one time I had a director and he told me that when people are auditioning, it changed the whole world for me on that one, because they go when you walk in, we go, yeah, that's the person, right? Sometimes they just go that's the person. That's the look I'm looking for. That's the thing I want. And then they just want to confirm that you actually can read for the role and actually do it. And that took a whole lot of pressure. At that point, I was just like, okay, I'm throwing these away. When I booked The Outlaws, I was like, really? Because I forgot that I'd even auditioned for it. I forgot that it even happened, right? Wow. Much less that it went down. And Adam said a really nice thing to me. Adam Devine, when I got there, he said to me, he said, your read was amazing. And I went, great. Now, if I could only remember what I did in that read, that would have been amazing. You just have to you have to audition, you do it, and then you pretend like you never did it, and then
Throw all your scripts away. That's my ritual. I do an audition and then I throw the sides away.
Really?
And I forget about it. The Outlaws took 2 months. I think it was like 2 months for me, or 2.5 months before I heard anything. And usually after a week, I don't hear anything. I'm like, oh, I didn't get it, whatever. And I'm not thinking about it. But 2 months later, I was having lunch with my agents and they were like, oh, they really loved you at the Outlaws. They're just waiting to cast the mom right now. And then we'll hear back. And I was like, what? Really? And I remember also the last thing I'll say is like, don't be afraid to take risks if you have something that you like. Now, don't be weird. There's a difference between a risk and something weird. When I saw it was an Adam Sandler property, I was like, oh, I know how they roll. Like, I know what kind of comedy this is. So when I sent in my audition tape, I remember telling my agents, I was like, yo, I went a little unhinged on this, but I think they're going to fuck with it. And like, I was like off script doing improv. I have a button for every joke, monologue. I just kind of like went ham. And I was like, I think they'll fuck with it. And they did. I got lucky. And then there was another audition that I did something weird for. You have to know when to do it. It was this movie called The Wedding Year with Sarah Hyland and Wanda Sykes and like Tyler J. Williams from Abbott, like all these people, right? And I had an audition where like part of it is I'm a runaway bride and I have a whole breakdown eating a burger because I've been like starving myself to get into my wedding dress. So I'm eating this burger, but I'm also telling this monologue. And I was doing the audition with just like, you know, doing the monologue funny or whatever. And I was like, nah, I need the food in my mouth to do it. So at the actual casting, I walked in with an app. I saw an apple. It was actually my friend's hotel. Like they had some kind of lounge. And so I saw like a bowl of apples in the lounge and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna take one of those bowl of apples. So I took an apple to the audition. I was like, is it cool if like during my monologue, like I'm gonna eat this apple? And she was like, okay. And I did it. They loved it. I booked it. So it's like sometimes a little something weird. Yeah, take a chance. Don't be afraid to do that either. It's like,
yeah, and be who you really are, I think, right? I mean, that was the main, I think that's the main issue. It's like, you know, you try to, you know, I'm not going to be Christopher Walken. You know what I mean? It's like, you know.
Which requires living. So if you're acting, like it just can't be your whole focus. Like get some hobbies. That was that question used to take me down. People were like, well, what do you do for fun? I was like, work and do more work. But now I box, and so I have different weird experiences at the boxing gym, or you know, like I try to like get out and do things I've never done before, and that also adds to your craft. And
wait. We're not letting that one go by. You box?
Yeah, I was boxing this morning. Yeah.
Okay, now are you like here's what I want to know. Well, first off, I would have been much nicer to her on the set if I knew. Then you know, but all right. So now in boxing though, is there a moment where like you're going to get in the ring like full on Rocky, like go for a title? That's what I want. I want to be your Burgess Meredith now. See, that's what I want. Sorry. I want to be in the corner there and be like, crap lightning. I want to be that guy. See, that's what I want to do.
Sadly, I probably look like someone who could box, which will help me in acting. But as a boxer, I'm trash. When I get on the mitts, like I'm getting a lot better now. So mitts are like when the coach is like holding up the little gloves that you punch. So now I can like learn the combos on the boards, and it'll just be like 1-2 SR, and I know that means slip roll 3-3. Like I know that, you know, that's my jab, my left jab, or not my left jab, but that's my left hook is a 3. You know, my jab is a 1. You know, I know these terms now. So I box a little like better with the combos, but I'm not looking like nobody's Rocky Balboa. No,
I think we got the whole new career for you now. I think we get ready for the next Olympics, Laci. We're gonna go. We're gonna like
we can go watch
the next boxing movie. That'd be great.
You should do a boxing movie. People love those damn boxing movies. I think you should star in a boxing movie.
Where's Layla Ali? She
Layla Ali. I was going to say the Layla Ali story, starring Laci Mosley.
Oh God, she probably hunt me down. Like, who put this woman in here?
No, that's great. Well, you know, we're about out of time here, Laci. But first of all, before we go, I'm always asked this question, and I'm going to ask you as well. When it's all said and done, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave behind when people think of Laci Mosley?
Oh, I like that question. Damn, okay. Look, Dave, I see you with the deep questions. I think that I want my legacy to be like, I hope that I can leave like Betty White or like Dolly Parton. Why are they all white women? But I just like that like they gave back to like communities that they were in, and especially Dolly, like she's given back so much and underserved communities, books, like everything. Like she's an idol to me. I hope that I make a lot of people laugh, and that I imparted joy to what can be, you know, a pretty bleak world sometimes. So that's the legacy that I want, you know.
In the short time I got to spend with you, you did all of that and more, Laci. So you know what? You're on your way to doing it. That's for sure. And
Thank
you were
you. You're
hilarious.
so
You were
sweet.
hilarious in that movie. You made me laugh a bunch of times.
You made me laugh a lot.
So we had a good time with it. And I'm hoping, I hope we can work together. Boxing movie aside, I still think about that. But that aside, I hope I get to work with you again because I had a great time working with you.
Yes, I know it'll happen. That was so much fun.
That was fun.
So.
And then what can we expect on Scam Goddess? So you have some shows coming up?
Yes, so I will be talking about more live tour dates. They are coming up. We'll be celebrating 5 years in
Congrats.
September, which is really exciting. And also, like, how have I been doing this for 5 years? But also, I have a book called Scam Goddess, which you can pre-order right now, anywhere you pre-order books. And it's not the podcast regurgitated, but it's basically a memoir of like my life, the things that have happened in my scams, but it's also paired with true crime. So each chapter has like one of my favorite scam stories and how it ties into my life. So like, for example, like there's a job scam, like it goes like jobs, romance, like it's like basically every aspect of life. And you hear about my life and you hear about real scams that happen to people in those situations. So you get a little true crime and you get a little bit of me. And I have worked for drug fronts by accident multiple times. I've been in a shooting and it was very goofy. My life is, when I was writing this book, I was like, am I making this up? Like, how did this all happen to me? Yeah, like the first, you open the book and the first sentence is, I went missing when I was 5, LOL. And there's a page break and you find out how I went missing and how I fell in love with scams by being a 5-year-old having a baby's day out on the town. So it's a fun book and it's a lot of laughs and a lot of real stuff too. Advice that's really good that I don't take sometimes. And it's a good ride. So yeah, Scam Goddess. You can pre-order that now anywhere you buy books.
I did. I pre-ordered it. Can't wait for it to come.
Oh, you did?
I did.
All right.
I'm not going to pre-order your book. What, are you kidding me?
I love you.
I'm going to do the same. So good going, Dan.
There you go.
Well, anyway, thank you for joining us, Laci, and much continued success to you in your podcast and your career. Just a pleasure to have you on and an honor. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. And, like I said, best of luck to you in your future, which is hugely bright. So, congratulations on your success.
Thank you so much, Dave. You have a great show here and a lovely Zoom background. Wowzers. I need to step it up.
This is my little home studio here.
Yes. So. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for telling me about this, Dan. I'm so glad that we did this.
Oh, I'm glad. I was glad to do it. And I was glad that you guys let me sort of horn my way in on this whole thing, but I didn't want to miss this for sure. So listen, everybody, check out her podcast. It's amazing. Go pre-order her book. Do it right now.
Do it today.
I think I got mine through Amazon. I think that's where I got mine, was through Amazon.
Yes. I'm not allowed to say where to get it. They got turf war. So I have to say wherever you get your books, because if I say the A word, they get
I'm just telling you where I got mine, but you can probably get it everywhere. It's going to be a great book.
Wherever.
Exactly. Wherever it is, it's great. It's great. She's a brilliant actress, a really great stand-up, a really, really funny and beautiful woman. And it's just an honor for me to have worked with you. So I couldn't be more thrilled. So, and Dave, thanks for letting me jump in here again. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. I'll try not to jump onto too many of your shows, Dave, but right now you can't see me, but I'm actually on your doorstep right now. I'm hanging out right now.
This is Dan's scam. He's now infiltrated.
That's my scam. There you go. You can have me on the show, Laci. There you go.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Dan, to have you on, and Laci, you're always welcome back, of course. And again, just congratulations on your success and continued success to you. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.